Right now on News 3 this morning, Sunday, swallowing a season-ending defeat, the Brewers fall to the Dodgers in a heartbreaking Game 7 loss. Player and fan reaction from Miller Park. Presidential preparation. President Trump will be stopping through central Wisconsin this week, and former President Obama will be here too. A preview of their dueling messages ahead of the midterm elections. Your news starts right now.
This is News 3 This Morning, Sunday.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning, Sunday. It's October 21st. I'm Madeline O'Neill in for Josh this morning with meteorologist Chris Reese.
Good morning, Madeline.
Good morning. It's weird being up this early.
I bet it is for you.
And it was cold. Is it usually this cold and dark?
Yes. I think short story, yes. Now, it's been a bit colder than we've seen according to average just because temperatures are really bottoming out behind that cold front that came through last night. You felt the wind, you saw the snow, then we had the clear skies, and that allowed temperatures to really drop. So here we are at 23 degrees. This is the coldest we have been in several months. So if it feels colder than normal, it is out there. Winds are still calm, and that's going to allow temperatures to be at their coldest this morning before we really get the sun up and allow them to warm back up. Check out the 24-hour temperature difference. Black River Falls is 29 degrees colder than they were at this time yesterday. We're 20 degrees cooler here in Madison, but Black River Falls is at 15 degrees. They are a common cold spot, but that shows you just how cool our atmosphere actually is at the moment. But there is relief in sight. Warmer air across parts of the plains right now and western Minnesota. That warmer air will be headed our way. Already, we are starting to see those winds turn out of the south, and we'll have another windy day, though not as windy as yesterday. But that's really going to allow things to be warmer. In fact, in your day planner, we're talking sunshine in upper 40s today.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
New this morning, it's a tough day for the Brewers now that their 2018 playoff run has come to an end. The Brew Crew lost to the Dodgers in Game 7 at Miller Park last night, 5-1. News 3's Melissa Kim has more from an emotional clubhouse at Miller Park.
Well, a lot of tears, hugs, and somber faces in the Brewers clubhouse last night after the team lost Game 7 of the NLCS to the Dodgers. But everyone we spoke to afterwards said that this team had a lot to be proud of. They won a franchise record 102 games this season. But for now, this one really stings.
I think, as we get further away from the loss, I think we'll all be able to step back and appreciate what an incredible year it was, what a journey we've been on, especially the ride that we've been on over the last month. It was a pretty incredible accomplishment. I don't think anybody expected us to get to where we're at.
We'll have some time to reflect here in the next few days, few weeks, and I think the biggest thing that we take of this is, be proud of what we accomplished as a team.
Despite that, the players say there's a lot to look forward to next season, especially with this playoff experience.
A lot of these guys, the first time going to postseason, first time being in this position. So, it's tough. It's not easy, but they've got that experience. They've been there, done it, and just have to be hungry and be ready to go next year.
What I just told them is that they took us on an amazing journey. I mean, they really did. They took us on an incredible journey that we should all be grateful for being able to see, because it was a magical run.
And this season, bigger than just baseball for guys like Christian Yelich. He told us after the game they were playing for the city of Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin, and they didn't take that lightly. At Miller Park, Melissa Kim, News 3 This Morning.
Well, mark your calendars. Opening day for next season, a short 158-day wait on March 28th, 2019. Now, the other big sports story of the weekend was at Camp Randall, where the Wisconsin Badger football team got back on track with a 49-20 win over Illinois. It snowed during the game. Badger punter Anthony Lottie is from Georgia, so he doesn't have a lot of experience in the snow, but he did eventually get that punt away. The Badger defense had a great day for creating turnovers. They got 5 of them, including 3 interceptions, and Wisconsin's offense capitalized on those turnovers. Alex Hornibrook had 3 touchdown passes, 1 to Jake Ferguson, 1 to Alec Ingold, and 1 to Kyle Pinniston. The final score, 49-20. The Badgers moved to 3-1 in the Big Ten West. A nice bounce back for Wisconsin after that loss at Michigan last Saturday. Next week, the Badgers will face another Illinois team, Northwestern, this time on the road. Now, developing overnight, Madison police are looking for 2 men who they say attempted to rob and eventually shot a teenager on the city's west side. Officers say it happened on the 7,000 block of Raymond Road. That's right near Elver Park. They say a 16-year-old and 21-year-old were walking down Raymond when 2 men tried to rob them. The 16-year-old was shot and is now in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are investigating and ask anyone with information to call them or the Madison Area Crime Stoppers program. Police and FBI investigators are continuing the search for the Wisconsin teen who has been missing since her parents were found dead in their home earlier this week. Investigators say they were able to track the initial 911 call to the cell phone of 46-year-old Denise Kloss. Denise and her husband, 56-year-old James Kloss, were found shot dead in their home in Barron when officers arrived just after 1 a.m. Monday. Their daughter, 13-year-old Jamie Kloss, was not home when police arrived. An Amber Alert was issued Monday afternoon, and investigators are continuing to search for more clues into the motive behind the homicide and suspects. If you have any information, you can call 911 or the Barron County Sheriff's Department at the number there on your screen, and you can stay up to date on the latest developments by downloading the Channel 3000 mobile app. Now, we're about 2 weeks away from Election Day, and candidates are hoping to get some help from outside the state. Senator Bernie Sanders will be making a pair of stops in Wisconsin in support of Democratic candidates tomorrow. That includes an event in Milwaukee Monday morning with Senator Tammy Baldwin, Representative Gwen Moore, and congressional candidate Randy Bryce, as well as governor and lieutenant governor candidates Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes. Sanders and Bryce also have a second event later in the day in Kenosha. President Donald Trump will stop in Wisconsin this week, supporting Governor Scott Walker and other Republicans ahead of next month's midterms. The president announced he'll hold a rally at the Mosinee Airport just south of Wausau this Wednesday, October 24th. He's expected to talk about growing the Republican majority in Congress. It will be the president's first visit to Wisconsin since late June, when he was in the Racine area for a groundbreaking ceremony for the new Foxconn plant. And this Friday, former President Barack Obama is coming to Wisconsin, campaigning for Tony Evers, Senator Tammy Baldwin, and other Democratic candidates. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin says he will travel to Milwaukee this Friday, October 26th. The party's announcement didn't include details of where or what time the events will take place. Now, besides candidates, 16 counties and 2 cities in Wisconsin will be seeing questions about marijuana on their ballots next month. That includes Dane, Rock, Marquette, and Sauk counties. But the questions are only to gauge public opinion. They won't require lawmakers to take any action. News 3 asked the state's attorney general candidates about their stances. Democrat Josh Kaul says he supports legalizing it right away for medical use, but would decide later about recreational use. Republican and current AG Brad Schimmel says he opposes legalization for recreational use and says the state should talk to the FDA before legalizing it for medicinal purposes. A Marquette Law School poll from August found that 61% of voters favored full legalization of marijuana, while 36% opposed it. Looking ahead, there's an opportunity on the UW campus to skip the wait and get your vote in for midterms. Voter Fest kicks off tomorrow. It's an event to get students to vote early. You'll be able to find more information on how to take part in Vote Fest and vote early over on channel3000.com. The Center for Suicide Awareness is celebrating the 100 lives they've helped save through a text line as they hit their 4-year anniversary. Hope Line is a 24/7 support crisis number for anyone who might be having suicidal thoughts or just be going through a difficult time. A Wisconsin Marine Corps veteran says the text line helped save his life. He now works at the center to help save others.
Whether you're 10 years old or 60 years old or a veteran or LGBTQ or whatnot, we've got a myriad of different ages, races, populations to text in and say, I need help.
If you or someone you know needs help, you can text Hope Line to 741-741 for support. We'll have more on that Hope Line ahead in the next half hour of News 3 this morning, Sunday. After a cold, wet football Saturday, things are drying out across south central Wisconsin. But are they warming up? You're looking live at the Capitol. Chris is in next with your full first alert forecast. and saying a big goodbye to one of the most well-known and well-loved children's characters. Big Bird bids goodbye to audiences this week. A behind-the-scenes look at his 50-year long record-setting run.
Well, good morning. We do have clear skies in place and winds that have relaxed, so it is going to be much chillier as you step out the door. In fact, temperatures are in the 20s. We do have a beautiful sunrise, though, so there goes that. But it is 23 degrees at the moment underneath those clear skies. Dew points are in the teens, so the air is very dry as well. But temperatures across the region are pretty much all in the 20s, except for Black River Falls at 16 degrees right now. Milwaukee is at 30 as we speak. But as we zoom things out, you'll see that as you work your way up towards western Minnesota and the Dakotas, temperatures are actually a little bit warmer. And that's because we're going to have a warming wind blowing into town today. But first, we do have to deal with a cooler morning. Check it out, 20 degrees cooler than we were at this time yesterday right here in Madison. We do have clear skies, though, so that means we're not worried about any kind of rain or snow for that matter. We will see more and more sunshine today, and that is good news. So here are those winds. Once again, you'll notice they're starting to turn out of the south and the southwest. And as we continue to go through today, we will actually see more of that. So going forward into the afternoon, we'll begin to watch those winds increase towards about 8 miles per hour as we get you through the early morning. And then 13 to 15 miles per hour is where we'll see our winds as we get you into the afternoon. So while it'll be breezy, it won't be as windy as yesterday. So in your wind forecast, your trash cans, for the most part, they should stay in place. We won't see a lot of trash cans tipped over as of yesterday, but it will be just enough wind to help things feel pretty chilly. We're talking feels like temperatures that'll be in the 30s, while actual air temperatures will be closer towards 50 degrees as we get you towards the afternoon. Now, overnight tonight. We'll keep the clear skies around, but that southwesterly wind is going to keep us warmer. We'll see those lows falling into the 30s. So if you're a star buff, get outside and take a peek at the Oronid meteor shower. We'll see up to 20 meteors per hour as we head through the overnight hours here. Let's go ahead and show you the next 7 to 10 days. We'll see plenty of sunshine going through the week. The 50s are back as well. And then by next weekend, we'll see our next chances for rain with a possibility of a snowflake or two as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
Well, his voice is instantly recognizable. So is the suit he wears to work, but most folks couldn't tell you his name or pick him out of a lineup. This week, he retired, so maybe it's time you met him. Here's Tony DeCoppel.
I'll bet today will be a perfect day.
He's had one of the longest runs in television history.
I'm a very good bird.
And no, we're not talking about the 8-foot bird, but the voice inside him.
I just go a couple octaves higher. So, hello, how are you? How are you? I go up here. And it sounds cuter without me trying.
Oh, boy.
Since 1969, it's been puppeteer Carol Spinney giving life to Big Bird.
They say, what do you do? I said, well, you've heard of Sesame Street. I'm Big Bird. And they said, no.
It was Spinney operating the beak with his right hand and the wings with his left who changed Big Bird from a goofy adult into America's most innocent 6-year-old.
I love to move to the music, love to tap out a beat.
I think we should be playing him like he's a kid, just a really tall kid.
The job has taken him around the world.
This is the Great Wall of China.
And into our living rooms.
Anyone around my base is it.
Where he also played another memorable character, Oscar the Grouch.
Who is kicking my can?
Both roles will be taken over by understudies. And Spinney, now 84, will be left to look back on his success. He still pinches himself.
Not so it hurts, but because it just doesn't have to. It puts a smile on my face.
And ours. As Big Bird might say, toodaloo, Mr. Spinney. Toodaloo. Tony DeCoppel, CBS News, New York.
Now looking ahead, there's a free movie showing on the UW campus tomorrow about the need for open access to academic research. Paywall, the business of scholarship, is showing at the Marquee Theater Monday afternoon at Union South. It focuses on the cost of scholarly literature and how it may be interfering with the advancement of research and innovation. A top academic publisher is seeing a 30 to 40% profit margin. That's more than top tech companies like Apple and Google are making. The film starts at 3:30 and there's a question and answer session with UW-Madison experts afterward. The midterm elections are 2.5 weeks away and control of the Congress is on the line. With Democrats and Republicans battling it out in several states, we're heading to one of the areas in closest contention, Missouri, to hear from voters and candidates on the ballot. This election preview, when News 3 This Morning Sunday, continues.
Good morning. It is another beautiful sunrise over south central Wisconsin today, as we had one yesterday as well. Temperatures are a little bit chilly in the 20s as of now. We're going to see those temperatures begin to warm up rather quickly as we go through the morning. In fact, from 24 to 44 between now and lunchtime today. So we're going to be warming very quickly. And then those southwesterly winds are really going to take over into the afternoon. We'll see highs right around 48 degrees with plenty of sunshine. Maddie?
All right. Thank you, Chris. The midterm elections are 2.5 weeks away, and with control of Congress hanging in the balance, we're visiting key battleground states. This week, a CBS News poll shows Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill is locked in a tight battle with Republican Josh Hawley, in Missouri, each at 45%. Jeff Glor has been traveling the state, talking to voters and candidates in this closely watched election.
It's nasty, it's dirty, it's unfair, but you know what? It's worth it.
That is the sound of Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill fighting for her political life. She is a 65-year-old, two-term Democrat in a state the president won in 2016 by nearly 20 points.
How does Claire McCaskill get things done for Missouri?
McCaskill did vote nearly half the time in support of President Trump's agenda. She hasn't kept it secret.
I don't do a knee-jerk opposition to the president. I try to figure out each nomination and each policy position based on the merits, and then I have to explain it to Missourians.
But would you call his presidency a success?
I think it's a work in progress, and I think that's up to voters.
This election is about saving our country.
McCaskill's opponent, Josh Hawley, says she hasn't voted with the president on anything that matters.
Senator McCaskill and her Democrat allies have a radical left-wing agenda.
Hawley is the state's attorney general, a 38-year-old Yale Law School graduate who once clerked for Chief Justice John Roberts. He's a conservative who has hooked himself to the president, and he hopes to the voters who put him in the White House.
They did that because he said he would go out and fight for our values and the things we believe in. And I think he's doing that. And so long as he's doing that, I'm going to be for him.
Is there anything you disagree with him?
Well, I would say that, look, I would encourage him to keep a hard line on spending. I think the way that Congress has forced this outrageous spending on him is something that is not good.
Half of Missouri voters are satisfied with the way things are going in the country. The other half are not. McCaskill leads among women. Hawley is ahead among men. One of the key issues here has been health care, and as a result, the attacks have been brutal. Some of the voters we met don't like it.
It just seems like they're attacking each other, and I'm not getting real answers on the stance.
That kind of muddies the water for me, because you don't know what to believe and what not to believe.
They are really mad. In fact, they're hopping mad about prescription drug price increases. They are frustrated at the idea that their protections for pre-existing conditions and the other consumer protections that are in the law now are in jeopardy.
All right, step up, step up, step up.
Hawley, whose young son suffers from a degenerative bone disease, opposes Obamacare, but says he still wants insurance companies to cover people with pre-existing conditions.
The federal government should directly guarantee that folks who have a pre-existing condition get rates, premiums, deductibles at the same as everybody else.
That's still mandating that people have coverage, right?
No. It just says that those who have pre-existing conditions should be able to buy insurance at the same rates and prices as everybody else.
On the Brett Kavanaugh battle, Hawley says he would have voted for. McCaskill voted against.
The last thing in the world we need is the Supreme Court to be a reflection of what Congress has become, tribal warfare.
Was it tribal warfare in politics when you were first elected?
Not as much. All of the noise is generated on the ends of the spectrum. We need more noise in the middle.
Senator McCaskill says you don't use the word compromise. If you go to Washington, can you compromise?
Sure. I think it's about representing the people of your state. So you've got to be willing to cross party lines. You've got to be willing to be independent. I'll work with anybody on any topic if it's good for the people of my state.
Now here in Wisconsin, the deadline has passed to register by mail or online, but you can still register to vote in person and on Election Day. You can register in person at your municipal clerk's office until Friday, November 2nd, and all polling places allow you to register and vote on Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 6th. And if you've already registered to vote, you don't have to wait until Election Day. You can vote now via absentee ballot. The Wisconsin Elections Commission says 84,000 absentee ballots have already been returned this year. There's a full hour of news ahead on News 3 this morning, Sunday. Next, we're running through this morning's top stories, including the dueling presidential visit happening here in Wisconsin this week and reaction after the Brewers' heartbreaking Game 7 loss to the Dodgers. We'll be right back. Help right at your fingertips. The local organization saving lives and marking a milestone. Hear from one of the people saved by its efforts.
This is News 3 This Morning, Sunday.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning, Sunday. It's October 21st. I'm Madeline O'Neill, in for Josh this morning. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second, but first, let's get caught up on today's headlines. It's a tough morning for the Brewers, swallowing the reality that their 2018 playoff run has come to an end. The Brew Crew lost to the Dodgers in Game 7 at Miller Park last night, 5-1. The loss marked a sour end to the team's milestone season, leading the National League with 96 regular season wins. The Dodgers are now on to their 20th World Series, a showdown with the Red Sox that begins Tuesday in Boston. And mark your calendars, opening day for the Brewers next season is just 158 days away. President Trump will stop in Wisconsin this week, supporting Governor Walker and other Republicans ahead of next month's midterms. The president announced he'll hold a rally at the Mosinee Airport just south of Wausau this Wednesday, October 24th. He's expected to talk about growing the Republican majority in Congress. It will be President Trump's first visit to Wisconsin since late June, when he was in the Racine area at a groundbreaking ceremony for the new Foxconn plant. This Friday, former President Barack Obama is coming to the state, campaigning for Tony Evers, Senator Tammy Baldwin, and other Democratic candidates. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin says he will travel to Milwaukee this Friday, October 26th. The party's announcement didn't include details of where or what time the events will take place. And speaking of the midterms, 16 counties and 2 cities in Wisconsin will be seeing questions about marijuana on their ballots next month. That includes Dane, Rock, Marquette, and Sauk counties. The questions are only to gauge public opinion. They won't require lawmakers to take action. A Marquette Law School poll from August found that 61% of voters favored full legalization of marijuana, while 36% opposed it. Now here's your first alert forecast. Chris, what's it looking like?
Well, good morning. We are seeing more sunshine out there today. So that is what we're going to see all day long. No clouds, no snow squalls, just full sunshine. Temperatures, though, are pretty chilly this morning. We're at 24 degrees as of now, but the winds are going to be turning out of the south, and that's really going to help temperatures begin to take off. But check out the 24-hour temperature difference across the area. 20 degrees cooler than yesterday here in Madison, 30 degrees cooler in Black River Falls. That's where their temperature is at 15 degrees right now at this time. Gosh, it's October, folks. And then, of course, we do have a lot of folks that are in the 20s. But as we go farther upstate and towards western Minnesota, that's where we see more of our temperatures that are in the low 30s. And that's a sign of the warming wind that's going to be blowing into town. Already, we're starting to see more of those winds turning out of the south and the southwest. That's going to allow temperatures to really make it into the upper 40s for those highs today. Some folks could get lucky and see 50. The thing is, we do have a lot of wind out there again today that's going to be kicking up this afternoon. It won't be as windy as yesterday, but that will create a wind chill in the upper 30s. Now, in terms of traffic so far, all is good across the city of Madison and downtown as well. We will not have to worry about any major traffic issues for us at the moment. Maddie?
All right, good to hear. Thank you, Chris. A national program now offered in Rock County is giving students of all abilities internship opportunities. Project Search offers that experience to high school seniors and recent high school graduates with intellectual or developmental disabilities. Students are paired up with a mentor during the internship. The Janesville Gazette reports Mercy Health Hospital has offered 8 internships over the last year. Since Project Search came to Wisconsin a decade ago, 88% of its interns have found full-time work. If you have a student hoping to get a pharmaceutical degree, UW-Madison is now offering a first-of-its-kind concentration that could help make the resume stand out. The UW School of Pharmacy is partnering with the Wisconsin School of Business to create the Pharmacy OTM concentration. It's to help pharmacy students get the essential business training they'll need in the workforce without delaying their graduation date. PharmD students can take 12 credits of classes alongside MBA students where they'll learn things like managerial accounting and technology management. Now, what if help was just a text message away? The Center for Suicide Awareness out of Kaukauna is celebrating its 2-year text line anniversary. They've saved nearly 100 lives, and there are now 1,500 trained crisis response workers throughout the state of Wisconsin. Only on News 3, Jamie Perez spoke to one survivor who says texting saved his life and is helping save many others.
It is so sad to hear the statistics. We all need to do better in the works of suicide prevention. Keep up the great work. You're making a difference. Thanks for all the work you do and support our veterans and our people that are in crisis. If there is anyone out there that would know this, it sounds like the Hope Line can help.
Help through the power of words. Words so thoughtfully strung together through letters, something people don't usually do anymore.
Their names, you see their signatures. It's you read their hurt and their pain, and yet also you read their hopes, and they're still wishing you well, even in their grief.
Their grief. These letters are written from people who found words to be difficult at one point. People who were actively suicidal, but lived because of this.
You text the word Hope Line to 741-741 and then send. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't take away from your minute plan, which is important. So it really is truly a free service.
A 24/7 emotional support crisis text line, founded by Barb Bigalki herself.
If we could save one person's life, mission accomplished.
They've well surpassed their goal of 1 life saved. Founded in 2014 and just celebrating their anniversary 1 week ago, they've saved almost 100 lives to this day.
I remember just like literally my hand shaking when I signed on that dotted line to say I was going to do this. There is not only a sense of pride, but it's like the sense of, you know what, this is exactly why I signed on that dotted line.
The Hope Line is advertised through many forms: cell phones, guitar picks, beer glasses. That last one has its own story.
In one of the taverns that has one of our Hope Line beer glasses. And they basically said that night they were going to kill themselves, but they saw the beer glass. The bartender was talking about how people care and you can text this line and you don't need to struggle alone. And they taped the note and said, you know what? I didn't kill myself last night.
So why texting? Why does this method work?
Of the people that were either attempting suicide or died by suicide were texting. But what they were doing is they were texting their friends.
But sometimes we need more than that. Mike Crum is the perfect example of why.
You know, a lot of people tend to be like, oh, everything's going to be all right and you'll get through this. But sometimes you need to dig deeper than that.
A Marine Corps veteran who needed those words with somebody who's unbiased, somebody who's unattached.
Somebody that I don't know.
He's somebody who had difficulty finding the right words.
You don't have to lie to anybody. I think sometimes we tend to lie to ourselves. So in that moment, there was nobody to lie. There's nobody to lie to. There's nobody to give a false sense of like everything's okay. So in that moment, I was like, okay, I need to be truthful with myself. And
a truth that turned those words into a continuous conversation.
Through texting, all of that stigma and those barriers are kind of taken away.
The stigma that asking for help is a last resort. But Mike knows.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You don't have to be suicidal to use the text line. Maybe you're just someone who's high risk, trying to get through the next day, trying to find the right words to say. Regardless of why you use it.
We know that it works.
The words that worked.
Yeah, whether you're 10 years old or 60 years old or a veteran or, you know, LGBTQ or whatnot, we've got a myriad of different ages, races, populations to text in and say, I need help.
Those 3 words that turn into a lot more words for so many others like Mike.
Thank you for being a blessing to me and the students of today. I have no doubt you have saved lives in this auditorium. If we can talk about all things in an uncomfortable way, we can prevent suicide.
In Kaukauna.
You're wonderful mentors. We all need to take notice.
Jamie Perez.
The Hope Line is an essential piece of resource for preventing suicide. Thank you again.
WISC News 3.
The Center for Suicide Awareness is looking to expand its operations. They're planning to open a location in Madison in the near future. Now we've got a first alert traffic note for those of you who drive near the UW campus. Construction delays are forcing crews on Charter Street to shut down traffic between University Avenue and West Johnson Street until next year. They've been working on installing a steam tunnel there since August. Because they're so behind, they'll be closing off all lanes of traffic on Charter Street in that stretch until the work is done. So expect some delays in that neck of the woods, especially with lots of folks on campus for the rest of homecoming weekend. You could soon have a new place to bike, run, or walk on Madison's east side. The city's hoping to build the Garver Path in 2021. The more than $1.8 million trail would go from the Capital City Trail just behind Olbrich Botanical Gardens to Milwaukee Street. 2 bridges would span the Starkwater Creek, and there'd be a new boardwalk over wetland areas in Sherry Park. A federal grant is expected to cover up to $850,000 of construction costs. Now, after a handful of complications, Harry Potter enthusiasts are having a magical time in Jefferson, Wisconsin this weekend for the annual Warriors and Wizards Festival. The Harry Potter stars who were supposed to headline the fest canceled their appearance a few weeks ago. And although the weather was less than ideal for some fans, the show went on.
Even with the enthusiasm for the event, it is just really windy, lots of hail, and we're kind of braving it out, I guess.
Patience is one of the vendors that has been at the event for several years. The Wizards and Warriors Festival continues today from 9 until 4. The annual Quidditch tournament runs from 9 until noon. Now, the chilly weather here in Madison continues, but can we expect a work week warm-up? Chris is in next with your full first alert forecast. And there's a deadline quickly approaching for the Lake Winnebago sturgeon spearing season. How to get your license and how soon you need to get it by to participate in this year's events when News 3 This Morning Sunday continues.
Well, good morning. We do continue to see plenty of sunshine out here in south central Wisconsin, but it is a chilly morning. Temperatures for the most part are in the low 20s for a lot of us. Here's a live shot over the Capitol right now showing you the sunshine that is in play. Well, that's actually traffic for you. Let's go ahead and jump over to the Capitol to show you guys the sunshine that is out there. Temperatures are at 24 degrees at the moment and the winds are calm. Check out Black River Falls. That is at 15 chilly degrees this morning. But as we zoom things out across the upper Midwest and you begin to look over towards the north and west, you'll see that Fargo, North Dakota is at 31. They are warmer than we are, but that is a sign of things to come as we do have a warming wind blowing into town. But in the meantime, let's talk about how much colder things are compared to this time yesterday. We're 20 degrees cooler here in Madison, and that's generally the theme across the entire upper Midwest as of now, with that Arctic high settling in. Now, thankfully, that Arctic high does mean the air is dry, so we don't have any kind of rain or snow to be concerned about across the state or here in Madison. But as as we go through the day, we'll begin to notice a change. Winds already starting to blow from the south and southwest. That's going to be increasing throughout the day. So here we are at 10:30. We'll have a southwest wind at about 8 miles per hour. Towards the afternoon, that southwest wind will increase from about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So we won't be as windy as we were yesterday, but nonetheless, it will still be a breezy day. Enough that your trash can shouldn't blow over, but still windy enough that you'll notice the wind chill as we get into the afternoon as well. In fact, it'll likely feel like about 40 degrees while the temperature is closer to 49 or 50 or so as we go through the rest of the afternoon. In fact, here's how that's going to play out. Temperatures should top out right around 48 degrees as we get you into the peak heating of the day. With that south wind staying in play, though, as we get into the overnight hours, we will stay warmer, likely right around that freezing mark, but we won't drop into the 20s with clear skies still in place. So with that being said, if you're a star buff, definitely take advantage of the outdoors today. The Orionid meteor shower will be peaking again tonight. Now make sure that the moon sets. So the best place, or the best time rather, to really get a look and see some of those meteors will be closer towards sunrise tomorrow morning, where that moon is kind of out of the sky. But you could see upwards of 20 meteors per hour. So it's going to be a good night to really see the meteor shower. Just make sure that you do have a coat on because it's going to be chilly. Temperatures, though, will be making it through the 50s as we go through the week, and then more sunshine until we get you towards Friday night. That's when the next chance for rain and a snowflake or two arrives by next weekend.
Chris, I'm blaming this cold weather for getting me under the weather, too.
I don't blame you.
All right, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
If your idea of a good time includes lots of layers, a wind chill, ice drills, and some primal means of fishing, there's a deadline coming up for the Lake Winnebago sturgeon spearing season. You have until October 31st to get a license. Biologists are predicting it will be a good year for sturgeon fishing, with populations being the strongest they've seen in decades. You can visit gowild.wi.gov to buy your license or find a sales location near you. It costs $20 for Wisconsin residents and $65 for anyone else. The season kicks off February 19th and lasts until harvest caps are reached. And before you head to the grocery store today, a recall you should know about. Hy-Vee announced it's removing some of its meat and potato products from store shelves because they might contain salmonella and listeria. There is a list of the 6 products being recalled, all Hy-Vee brand. If you have one of these products in your fridge with a best if used by date of October 22nd or earlier, you can bring them back for a refund. No illnesses have been reported yet. You can find this list over on channel3000.com as well. And if you're feeling lucky this morning, you might want to swing by a gas station and pick up a lottery ticket. The Mega Millions jackpot is now at a world record for a lottery at $1.6 billion after there was no winner in Friday night's drawing. The next Mega Million draw will be on Tuesday, so you still have plenty of time. This jackpot comes after a year after organizers made a move to lower the odds of winning in an attempt to generate larger prizes. The Powerball is at nearly $500 million. If you're watching this right now, hopefully you've got in your 8 hours of sleep, because a new study shows just how dangerous heading into the work week sleep deprived can really be. Plus, the number of people who vape is growing, and there's a new warning about how weight affects women's risk of breast cancer. The morning's top health stories are just ahead on News 3 this morning, Sunday.
Well, good morning. It's a beautiful sunrise out there. Temperatures are pretty cold, though, in the mid-20s for a lot of us. Some folks are in the low 20s and even mid to upper teens for temperatures. But once we get that sun up, we're really going to begin to watch those temperatures take off. 24 to 44 as we go through the morning. By the time we get you towards the peak heating of the afternoon, we'll see those highs right around 48 degrees. We will be mostly sunny and pretty breezy this afternoon, but not as windy as yesterday. Madeline?
All right, thank you, Chris. In health news this morning, losing weight could reduce a woman's chance of developing breast cancer after menopause. That's according to a study published in the journal Cancer. It found postmenopausal women who shed pounds saw a 12% reduction in breast cancer, while women who gained weight had a 54% higher chance of developing a rare form of the disease. New research shows a link between eating seafood and healthy aging. A U.S. study finds an association between higher blood levels of omega-3 fatty acids found in seafood and a higher likelihood of healthy aging in older adults. The study's authors say their research doesn't necessarily prove cause and effect, but they concluded it is a good idea to eat more fish. A new national study shows nearly 3/4 of American workers are showing up to work tired and making some costly mistakes. Hillary Lane has more on the latest findings.
In the city that never sleeps.
Do you ever feel tired at work?
I do. Most workers say they're worn out and drained.
I'm currently working and going to school full time, so I'm tired.
And they're not alone. New research by the staffing firm Accountemps shows roughly 74% of U.S. workers operate while tired. It's an issue costing the nation's economy as much as $411 billion a year. HR professional Angelique Malloy says when she's tired, she's more likely to miss important details.
My eyes are tired, especially like looking at the screen and stuff.
Nashville tops the list as the city with the sleepiest professionals, followed by Austin, Denver, and Indianapolis. While workers in those places may be dragging the most, Accountemps' Richard Dayasing says it's a nationwide issue.
The continued workload that individuals have or workers have, the stress that's associated with it has a lot to do with lack of sleep because they tend to take work home.
But there are ways to show up rested. Dayasing recommends asking someone like a manager for help before you burn out. Leave work at work so you can recharge for the next day, and don't bring gadgets like your phone or laptop to bed.
When you are employed, it's your personal brand at stake, and do everything possible to make sure that that brand is number one.
And the number one tip, get enough sleep. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
According to the study, some of the mistakes professionals have made while tired on the job include deleting a project that took 1,000 hours to put together and accidentally paying everyone twice. And a CDC survey of more than 400,000 Americans finds almost 1.5% regularly vape, but don't regularly smoke cigarettes. That translates to nearly 2 million people, and 60% of them were younger than 25 years old. The news comes amid the FDA commissioner's suggestion that his agency could ban sales of e-cigs and vaping products in convenience stores if use among minors isn't lowered. More news ahead this morning. Next, we're running through this morning's top stories and Making a Murderer, making a hit. The popular Netflix series is back for a second season, why the producers say there had to be a sequel. News 3 this morning, Sunday. We'll be right back. The highly anticipated sequel to the Netflix series Making a Murderer is now on Netflix. We'll hear from two producers about what you should expect.
This is News 3 This Morning Sunday.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning Sunday. It's October 21st. I'm Madeline O'Neill. Josh has the morning off. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second, but first, let's get caught up on today's headlines. It's a tough morning for the Brewers, swallowing the reality that their 2018 playoff run has come to an end. The Brewer crew lost to the Dodgers in Game 7 at Miller Park last night, 5-1. The loss marked a sour end to the team's milestone season, leading the National League with 96 regular season wins. The Dodgers are now on to their 20th World Series, a showdown with the Red Sox that begins Tuesday in Boston. And mark your calendars, opening day for the Brewers next season is just 158 days away. We'll hear fan reaction from Miller Park in about 10 minutes on the program. The other big sports story of the weekend at Camp Randall, where the Wisconsin Badger football team got back on track with a 49-20 win over Illinois. It snowed during the game, causing a lot of turnovers and interceptions for the Illinois in particular. And Wisconsin's offense capitalized on those turnovers. Alex Hornibrook had 3 touchdown passes, one to Jake Ferguson, one to Alec Ingold, one to Kyle Pinniston. The final score, 49-20. The Badgers are now 3-1 in the Big Ten West. Next week, the Badgers will face another Illinois team, Northwestern, this time on the road. There's a deadline coming up for the Lake Winnebago sturgeon spearing season. You have until October 31st to get a license. Biologists are predicting it will be a good year for sturgeon fishing, with populations being the strongest they've seen in decades. You can visit gowild.wi.gov to buy your license or find a sales location near you. It costs $20 for Wisconsin residents and $65 for anyone else. The season kicks off February 19th and lasts until harvest caps are reached. And a reminder for drivers heading into the work week, construction delays are forcing crews on Charter Street to shut down traffic between University Avenue and West Johnson Streets until next year. They've been working on installing a steam tunnel there since August, but because they're so behind, they'll be closing off all lanes of traffic on Charter Street in that stretch until the work is done. So expect some delays in that neck of the woods, especially with lots of folks on campus for the rest of homecoming weekend. Now here's your first alert forecast. Chris, what can we expect?
We can expect lots of sunshine for today. That is going to be one change. We're not looking at any kind of rain or snow coming through like we did yesterday. Temperatures are starting off cool. We're at 24 degrees right now in Madison. That's 20 degrees cooler than we were at this time yesterday. So we will all see that cooler start to the day. 21 in Janesville right now, same for the Dells, 15 and Black River Falls. The thing is, we will gradually begin to warm things up as we go throughout the day as well. Part of that begins with winds that are coming out of the south and southwest. That southwest wind is going to be increasing. So once again, we're going to see another very breezy day. It will not be as breezy as we were yesterday. Here's some wind damage sent in by Stephen Adams of a tree on his home yesterday. Today, we'll see breezy conditions once again, but I'll be letting you guys know how breezy will be coming up in Maine weather in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Chris. And we're about 2 weeks away from Election Day, and candidates are hoping to get some help from outside the state. Senator Bernie Sanders will be making a pair of stops in Wisconsin in support of Democratic candidates tomorrow. That includes an event in Milwaukee Monday morning with Senator Tammy Baldwin, Representative Gwen Moore, and congressional candidate Randy Bryce, as well as governor and lieutenant governor candidates Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes. Sanders and Bryce also have a second event later in the day in Kenosha. President Trump will stop in Wisconsin this week, supporting Governor Walker and other Republicans ahead of next month's midterms. The president announced he'll hold a rally at the Mosinee Airport just south of Wausau this Wednesday, October 24th. He's expected to talk about growing the Republican majority in Congress. It will be President Trump's first visit to Wisconsin since late June, when he was in the Racine area at a groundbreaking ceremony for the new Foxconn plant. And this Friday, former President Barack Obama is coming to Wisconsin, campaigning for Tony Evers, Senator Tammy Baldwin, and other Democratic candidates. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin says he will travel to Milwaukee this Friday, October 26th. The party's announcement didn't include details of where or what time the events will take place. Now, developing overnight, Madison police are looking for two men they say attempted to rob and eventually shot a teenager on the city's west side. Officers say it happened on the 7,000 block of Raymond Road. That's right near Elver Park. They say a 16-year-old and a 21-year-old were walking down Raymond when two men tried to rob them. The 16-year-old was shot and is now in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are investigating and ask anyone with information to call them or the Madison Area Crime Stoppers program. Now, it's the first weekend. Part 2 of the documentary Making a Murderer is on Netflix, and the new episodes pick up with Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey's post-conviction legal fight. Viewers are also introduced to Avery's new high-profile attorney, Kathleen Zellner. Filmmakers Laura Ricciardi and Moira Demos sat down with CBS this morning to explain why they thought there should be a Part 2.
Well, we knew that both Stephen and Brendan, although they're serving life in prison, Stephen without the possibility of parole, Brendan will be eligible for parole in 2048 at the age of 59. They continue to maintain their innocence, and they're committed to fighting to free themselves and clear their names.
Were you planning to always do a Part 2?
No, it's definitely something that evolved.
Yeah. How did it evolve? What did you see that you thought, okay, we need to keep going? Moira?
So, when we leave off at the end of Part 1, Stephen himself is saying he's going to keep fighting. Brendan's team has actually just taken his case into the federal court system. And then soon after the launch of Part 1, Stephen got a new advocate, Kathleen Zellner,
who has an incredible record.
She does. Yeah. She's the winningest private post-conviction attorney in the United States. And so right there, it was clear, the story really is not over. So as soon as we learned that and thought about this post-conviction phase of the process, which is really kind of a black hole to most people, like what exactly does that mean to appeal? What are the obstacles? What are the stakes? What are your chances? So we saw it as an opportunity to, offer viewers something new.
So do you think about it as a documentary where you're trying to put things before people with no fingerprints of your own on it, or do you think of it as a storytelling exercise in which you're basically advocating for an argument?
I think the answer might be neither, because documentary is not journalism. It is an art form, and, this is a narrative documentary. So we had chosen Stephen Avery as our main character, and we had chosen him because of his incredibly unique status as someone who had been failed by the system in the mid-'80s and now was stepping back into it. And in that 20-year time span, there had been advances in DNA, there had been legislative reforms, and there was a lot of talk about,
because you said he had been falsely accused before.
And falsely imprisoned for 18 years. Yes. And so it was sort of an opportunity to hold a mirror up and to watch the investigation and the prosecution play out. And the question at hand was, how will he be treated as an accused?
One of the other criticisms, guys, was about the victim. We don't hear much in Part 1 about Teresa Hallback. A woman lost her life under still mysterious circumstances, some say. Is she addressed at all in Part 2?
Absolutely. I mean,
do we hear from her family, or?
Well, both in Part 1 and Part 2, we invited the Hallbucks to participate, and in both instances, they declined. And, I just want to say we absolutely understand that. I mean, they endured an unspeakable tragedy, and, I would imagine, too, that even participating could, create more pain for them. So we understand that they declined. We respect that, and in light of that, I mean, regardless of whether they participated or not, our job was to tell the story in the most responsible way that we could. So we sought to include a range of voices. When the Hallbucks declined to participate, we used archival materials to show, the distress people were in when they thought that Teresa was in jeopardy just when she was missing. There were volunteer searchers who set out to look for her.
Well, you had a lot of people talking after Part 1, and a lot more people I'm sure will be talking and watching Part 2. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, it's not how the Brew Crew hoped this season would end. Now the team's fans are swallowing last night's season-ending loss. We have reaction from Miller Park next on News 3 This Morning, Sunday.
24 degrees to start the morning as of now, but we do have plenty of sunshine. We're going to keep that theme going just about through all of your Sunday. It's going to be one of those days where we really live up to the name. Southerly winds will be taking over, though, so temperatures are going to be warming up very quickly. 44 by lunchtime. Temperatures should top out near 48 degrees for highs this afternoon. Madeline?
Thank you, Chris. The Milwaukee Brewers season is over after the team fell to the Los Angeles Dodgers in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series late last night. News 3's Adam Duxter was outside Miller Park talking to fans who say they're still holding their heads up high.
Fans leaving Miller Park Saturday night felt much different than they did, coming in. Their beloved Brewers coming up empty in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Their season over. Yet instead of heartbreak, many fans felt something else. Hope.
Nobody would have predicted this early in the season.
They still had a great season. No one expected them to get this far. So you got to be happy with what they did.
While showing some respect to the opponent.
I think the Dodgers were a good ball team and was tough to play for, and the hitters seemed a little bit frustrated. They had good pitchers.
Because even though it's been 36 years since the team they love has made it to the World Series, these fans are confident it won't take that long to reach this point again.
It was a great season. They've got so much to be proud of. Good young team. They're going to be back next year. We'll be back at it. They got a lot to be proud of.
These fans are already looking ahead to next season, which is just 158 days away on March 28th. Now, after a roller coaster ride of temperatures last week and a cold Saturday, Chris is tracking whether we could see the possibility of rain or even snow. He has a look ahead at your work week forecast when News 3 This Morning Sunday continues. But first, let's take a look at who's 3 today. A very happy birthday to Bo.
It's a cold morning, but we're going to be singing a different tune as we go through the day. We start with a picture out of Middleton from yesterday showing the snow squall that came through the area. It almost looks like a snow globe has really been shaken up to cause that winter wonderland out there. And here's a time lapse of what that was like when it came through. The clouds came in, it started with a little light snow, and then bam, just like that. Visibility went down in a hurry. The flakes even got really large for a time, but as fast as that moved in, it moved off. Then another round came in, moved out once again. Then we had the sunshine return and a lot of wind. And so for yesterday's snow, that was again earlier than our average trace of snow. Our first trace this year came back on October 14th. Then we had it again 6 days later, still above average, or faster than average rather, but still no measurable snow. And that typically doesn't come around until November 5th. And we are not getting that today. High pressure is in control of our weather. So Doppler track showing you the clear skies that we do have as of now. And here's what it looks like outside. There's not even a cloud in the sky. It is cool though at 24 degrees. The winds are calm, but those winds are going to be turning out of the south later on, and that's going to allow things to warm up. I'll show you that in just a second. 25 in Janesville now. Mineral Point has warmed to 27. Black River Falls is still at 15, and that's a common cool spot, so that's normal for them. But here are those winds. Already you're starting to see more of a southerly flow take over. That's going to be increasing as we go through the morning. By 10:30, we'll see our winds out of the southwest at about 8 miles per hour. Then into the afternoon, we'll see them anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour, closer to 20 miles per hour the farther south and west you are. So while yesterday's winds were rather violent, today's should stay a little bit more calm. It'll be breezy, but for the most part, trash cans should stay in place. But you'll notice a wind chill as well. Here we are at 4:30 this afternoon. Actual air temperatures around this time will be closer to 50 degrees, but it'll likely feel like the upper 30s to about 40 degrees or so. Here we are at 48 during that time. Then tonight, we'll see our lows right around the freezing mark, and then into tomorrow, we'll see more sunshine and then temperatures returning into the 50s. And there are more where those 50s came from as we go through the week. Expect plenty of sunshine. You know what? Call up the show Happy Days because the 50s are apparently back. But we'll see the next rain chances coming in as we go towards next weekend. Some of those could mix with snow overnight Friday and through Saturday morning. In your pet walk, now this little picture has popped up so many times during this newscast.
I'm happy we get to look at it for longer
Yes,
now.
this has been wanting to be on the air, but Sammy and Janesville, that's a beautiful picture.
What is she holding in her little arms?
That's just awesome. But if you're out walking your cat today, I've seen pictures of it, but that still blows my mind. Wow. We'll see temperatures around 47 at 3 o'clock.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. There's more news ahead here on News 3. A reminder, there is no 5:30 show tonight. And at 10, why a Fitchburg Family Pharmacy is helping bring people to the polls to cast ballots this midterm election. But first, meet the Smoke Sisters, the duo carving out their own path in Kansas City. Grab something to eat. You'll need it. News 3 this morning, Sunday. We'll be right back. Finally this morning, something to make your stomach rumble. When you think of Kansas City, you think barbecue.
That's right. And there are about 100 barbecue places in Kansas City, but not many compared to the Smoke Sisters. Jeff Glore introduces us to the pair carving their own path.
Meet the Smoke Sisters, Deborah and Mary Jones. For nearly 4 decades, they have devoted their lives to barbecue. Some of the only female pitmasters on the Kansas City barbecue scene.
She always want to tell me what to do. And she wants to tell me what to do.
It works.
It works. Oh, yeah.
In their latest incarnation, Jones Barbecue, at this former taco stand, where passing freight trains often drown out the orders. Deborah, who also goes by Little, is in charge of the smoker.
This is an art. You have to want to do this. People don't just wake up one morning and say, hey, I think I'm going out here and barbecue today.
And that art is not easy. The prep begins at 2 a.m. That's because the perfect brisket can take 16 hours or longer to cook. Mary, whose family nickname is Shorty, preps the meat and handles the taste test.
Our motto is freshness every day. It has to taste that same way today, tomorrow, next week. I taste everything that she's prepared before. And see if it needs to be touched up or something.
That's not the worst part of the process, right? Getting to eat a little
Well,
barbecue.
these hips don't say that, but okay.
These sisters have been around barbecue since they were old enough to stand on a milk crate. They have already developed a loyal following in what has been a predominantly male game.
You know, I'm just taking one bite, and that's how good it is. Like, okay, yeah, it's real good.
The fact that they were women was part of the draw.
I have the turkey and ribs and fries, and it is delicious. So good.
We have to take care of them because, you see, they take care of us because without them, there would be no us.
It is a bond that goes beyond barbecue.
Until he say it's over, then we'll just keep on doing what we do.
So what do we got this week for weather?
Well, we've got a lot of sunshine out there, so if you want to grill, just go ahead and fire it up. Just make sure you invite the local neighborhood weather guy over for that barbecue. But still, temperatures will be in the 50s, so we're gradually warming throughout the week and then leveling out once we get you towards about Thursday through Saturday. Now, rain chances will return as we get you towards Friday night into Saturday. Now, overnight Friday and into Saturday morning as well, then into Sunday morning, there's possibility of a few snowflakes mixing in during that time. But otherwise, it's a pretty gorgeous forecast.
In the meantime, I love seeing all those suns.
Yes, I like that as well.
Well,
Makes me think of a pumpkin almost.
There you go. Well, enjoy your sunny Sunday. Thanks for watching News 3.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.